welcome to Vegan Cooking with Jeremy Klein. Now, hello, and welcome again to Vegan Cooking with me, Jeremy Klein. We are just going to get started on the buckwheat tortilla preparations. I am going to prepare the ingredients and I will show them to you, and I will explain the preparation process. Preparing the buckwheat. First, you must buy it. You must buy the green kind and not the brown kind. You take your buckwheat, a bag should do. Very important note, if you buy store-bought buckwheat, that's fine. If you buy organic buckwheat from a health store, also fine. But it might have bugs. This has happened a couple of times to me. There is one easy way to find out, because sometimes even if you look through the bag, you can't see them. They're pretty sneaky. So what you do is, when you put them in the receptacle, either a bowl or a tall Tupperware box, and you fill them with water to soak, if there are bugs in, they will float to the top and start doing the backstroke as they die a slow, agonizing death. Throw it away. If you get store-bought, this normally doesn't happen. They're vacuum sealed and everything is fine with that. So about the soaking. Like I said, you can do it in a bowl. Any kind of receptacle is good. You can do it in a bowl or a tall Tupperware box. Soak for 24 hours maximum. 16 to 24 is good. Somewhere in between there is perfect. Strain the water 3 or 4 times during this process to get rid of the excess starch and little bits that come off every maybe 8 hours or something like that. Strain the buckwheat through a sieve. Try not to pour the buckwheat back in from the sieve or it will go everywhere. Trust me on this, I've tried this. Just take a large ladle or a large serving spoon and just shovel it back in the box, refill with water, and you are good to go. You then take your buckwheat and you blend it with water and almond milk. Although I am not affiliated with any companies, I would be remiss not to recommend the Ajnin or the Ninja, if this video is actually the right way around, but I'm seeing it now and it's not Ninja, it's Ajnin. Either way, the Ninja blender is awesome, apart from its strange and possibly culturally offensive name. It's very easy to clean afterwards, it's very convenient, it's got an intelligent blend and it does it just right. I normally do a cup and a half at a time. 1 cup of buckwheat is half a cup of almond milk and half a cup of water. Now, I do a cup and a half. So I went with 3/4 of a cup of almond milk and 3/4 of a cup of water. You'll get it eventually. And then you blend. Then you pour it into another receptacle that you can close. You leave it to sit for a minimum of half an hour in the fridge. And then you get to work. And here we have the ready mixed and blended buckwheat mixture. And take a look here, you will see the consistency is much like that of pancake batter. That's just about right. Now for the preparation and the ingredients and the actual cooking. You will need a nice non-stick pancake, thin-rimmed frying pan. And it's your choice what to use, but here's what I like to put in them. Some finely sliced cherry tomatoes, some finely cut and chopped up sun-dried tomatoes, some fresh chopped up parsley, not too small, some pumpkin seeds, a very good source of magnesium, some sunflower seeds, a very good source of sunflower seeds, and some nigella. You can also use crushed chili pepper powder, of course salt and pepper seasoned to your liking, unless you are going to make the sweet version, which I will cover in a further tutorial. Now for the cooking process. Okay, this is how high I like to have my flame. It is not entirely on full flame, it's just a bit off. But you need to have it pretty damn hot for this to work. That should do it. Now, put this on, and we're going to leave it on here for a while. And you need about, that's actually a bit too much, this much olive oil. And you do not need to re-oil every time you put another tortilla on. Every 3 or 4 tortillas should do it. Otherwise, it tends to fry a bit. And that's not what we want to do here. We just want to make sure none of it sticks. And we get to the pancake flipping bit in good fashion. Okay, now let's leave this for a couple of minutes. to heat up. While our saucepan is heating up, let's have a look at the mixture. Now, just dip your ladle in a couple of times. Make sure that is nice and evenly mixed. It looks awful, it smells disgusting, but all part of the process. And because you're going to be doing a lot of ladling, it is best to put this box in another box because the shit gets everywhere. Now I'm going to ladle 1 full ladle's worth and maybe another half. So this is just over halfway filled. And before people give me shit for using disposable cups, I recycle these and use them as plant potters for when I grow my vegetables and herbs. Now, the seasoning. Bit of salt. Not too much, we don't want to over salt it. A bit of pepper. Some parsley. Maybe 2 pinches of the stuff. Pumpkin seeds. I'll leave it up to you to decide how much you want. I like them a bit crunchy, so I put a lot of nuts in. Sunflower seeds. And I'm going to add a bit of ground chili. Unless you don't want to overdo too much, the nigella. A couple of small pinches. Stir with a fork. And this disgusting mess is what you are left with. You can see if I go through it, it's all there nice and mixed in. You'll notice I haven't put in the sun-dried tomatoes or the cherry tomatoes. There's a reason for that, and you're about to see. This has to be done pretty quickly. We don't want to burn our vegetables. I like to put them in a kind of a nice feng shui. That is way too thick, that's coming out. Nice feng shui arranged pattern. The trouble is, if you take too long over this, you can burn them beyond recognition, and that's not good for anyone. Take that, sprinkle some sun-dried tomatoes. They should be the dried kind, because otherwise they're too oily, and that will affect how this cooks. And you take your mixture, and you carefully pour it as evenly as possible around there. Then here's the bit that helps you get rid of those nasty pesky holes. You rotate it at an angle. Make sure you get the edges nice and filled and even a bit of a way up the slant. You're going to do it carefully so it doesn't fall off. You'll see that it's moving over the surface, filling in all the holes made by the bubbles of air that happen because of the heat. And then, and this bit really varies, you leave it. Now, for the most part, you will not need any kind of spatula or something to scrape this up. It all happens quite naturally, and if you're a good pancake flipper, then that part will come into play. Now, take a look at this. You can see the edges are being affected by the olive oil. They're a bit yellow. As of the next one, that won't happen. It's drying on the top, and we shall leave it for a couple of minutes, and then I'll show you what happens next, which is the cool bit, but it's the bit that requires some learning, some skill acquired. It takes a while for it to work, so back soon. Now, for the flipping. If you look, you will see the edges are starting to curve upwards. There's a bit of space under there. If this doesn't happen on its own, then you can just use a spatula and tease up this bit, but under no circumstances go any further in than a couple of centimeters, otherwise you will upset this. If a bit folds over, that's it, you've lost it. It's like sellotape that folds over in on itself, you cannot get it back. So what you do is you start to jitter it about a bit, and it will make a noise that some men will find familiar. Bit in the front, bit in the back. Shuffle it around a bit, but you don't flip it yet. Now that you've loosened it, the air will circulate under it and cook it more evenly. We'll get to the flipping in just a second. It's not a perfectly rounded shape. We've got some a bit that's kind of like got a bit dog-eared on the edges, and the tomatoes are a bit burnt, but that's going to happen. There's no way to stop it because it has to be hot. And if you look, you get these lovely indentations, much like Lebanese lahouch bread. I have no idea how to spell that in English, by the way. Kind of looks like a lunar surface. Okay, so let's flip it again. You can see that nice kind of doughy, floury look, even though there's no dough or flour involved. Nice bread. You can see pumpkin seeds and everything. Bit hot to the touch. Lovely, and it smells delicious. Now, one of the things that I recommend doing as it's cooking is pressing down on it. It has a tendency to, whoops, got a bit of a loose tomato there. Has a tendency to get thick in the middle. Nice and crunchy in the corners and thick in the middle. If you press down on it, it flattens it. Also pushes some of the uncooked dough out of these little craters here and pushes it to the outside so you can cook it properly. See that? Just like little pimples, really. See that? Okay, pushes it out. And once you flip it, it will cook it properly. There you go. And there it is. Wow, we lost that tomato completely. Okay, well, live and learn. There we are. That is nice and done. It is lovely and crunchy and completely plant-based. I am not a vegan, but I play one on the internet. Take this, leave it to cool on the plate. Separate with small squares of baking paper. Don't put it on now, otherwise it will curl up, but they will stick if you stack. And there it is, perfect. And in our next tutorial, we will be making fried lobster in pork brains béarnaise. Thank you and good night. A PS, one more thing. I'm making a regular one here with just parsley, salt and pepper for my wife. She doesn't like all the add-ons. There's that sound again. What are you doing in there? Unlock the door. What are you doing in there? Okay. Let's go back over to the one I just made. This one's much nicer, actually. It's got a really nice rounded shape. Right now, this is nice and crunchy and everything like that. It's really nice to eat like this. They will last a few days in the fridge as well, but they tend to lose their crunchiness. So if you want to make them to eat right away, that's good. But these also, I make these twice a week instead of regular bread. It's good for guacamole, dipping, and that kind of stuff. They don't really fold that well like tortillas. Sometimes they do, but they tend to break, especially if you put all sorts of stuff with them. They're good for dipping, in sauce and that kind of stuff, or just put underneath your meal and kind of like use it as a secondary plate and eat it with the meal. They're very nice, they're nutritious, and that's it really. Enjoy. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and I'm probably never going to make another one, so it's been nice talking to you. Bye!